It is a Wednesday morning. We got weather coming in. We're going to see rain. We already see rain up in Crescent City and parts of Oregon, Cannon Beach. South, we've got rain falling in Fortuna. We've got rain falling in Marin County, light scattered showers. San Francisco, a few showers on the camera. And then sprinkles down to Santa Barbara and into San Diego. That activity for Southern California, south of Point Conception, you guys pick that up late tonight, early tomorrow morning. That's when the main event is. And that's when you could see an inch of rain or something, maybe an inch and a half. And then in Northern California, it's kind of happening now. It's 11 o'clock, so it's kind of ramping up now. We'll move into the mountains, dump 2 to 3 feet of snow. Mammoth could see 4 feet of snow, maybe, God, dare I say 5 feet. They're going to get a lot of snow. And then snow levels really drop down in California on Thursday night, or Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening, and that's when we see snow levels down really low. So we're going to see foothill snow as well. So this is Shadow on the nest. Jackie is off getting stuff. They've been filling the nest all day with new sticks, getting ready for the storm. We've got wind gusts, and it'll be interesting to watch the birds as they go through this event, right? Because the wind advisories down at Big Bear, and the wind gusts are going to come up to 40 miles an hour. Wind gusts are already gusting probably around 25 based on what I'm seeing here. So it's going to be a windy day. We can look at a windy day pretty much up and down the state. Wind advisories, we'll show you that in a minute. But these are the surface observations. And this shows you basically the temperature, right? 39 degrees. And then this barb represents the tail of an arrow, right? So there's my arrow. See where the ball is? That arrow point is the arrow. So picture an arrow. This is surface map. And those are the feathers. So that's the way the wind's blowing. So the wind's blowing at Lake Arrowhead, wind's blowing this way towards the dot with the feathers. And each one of these little lines, the long ones are 10 knots. The short ones are 5 knots. You add them up. That's 20. This right here is 25 knots out of the southeast. So you can see the winds are going to be blowing pretty significantly. So far, the wind gusts are staying pretty low. Lake Arrowhead's got some wind gusts up over. Let's see if I can get that up. Let's pull this. Lake Arrowhead. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so see, Arrowhead's doing gusts of 45. Yeah, so these gusts are 16. So these red numbers represent the gusts. I should have said that right off the bat, huh? But Arrowhead's got wind, so you're seeing gusts already at 45 miles an hour, indicating that, yes, it's going to be a windy day. No thanks. We've got this system coming in now. This is as of about lunchtime today, and you can see up around Crescent City, you guys are getting wet already. We're going to take a look at some of the live cameras. But look at this cold air, right? So here's a classic front. So when people talk atmospheric river, and I only bring it up because I actually heard it a bunch from like semi-credible sources, which was kind of freaking me out. I'm like, I had to double check. I go, no, it's not an atmospheric river. There's components for sure. But in terms of, the fire hose effect, look at all the cold air wrapped in with this. Now this is got subtropical moisture wrapped in it. This is the front. This divides the warm air down here from the very cold air up here. This is why snow levels are going to drop, because this whole front is going to progress on through. And it's going to have its biggest hit right here on the central coast down to Southern California. Its biggest effect, I'll show you some of the rainfall accumulations. But this cold air is going to drop snow levels significantly over the next 36 hours. Let's do this. This is up in, I know where we are. We are in Berry Ridge in Neyland. This is where the rain is coming on shore, right? And this is over the last couple hours, actually. So it's raining pretty good up there. A little bit of wind, but that's what the storm looks like on a live camera. But you know what I can do, which I hope this works for you. On a radar, that's what that kind of rainfall looks like. Okay, so there's Eureka. We were kind of right in this area. So you can see, and this is the current radar, which doesn't do you much good if you're watching this tonight, but sometimes it's nice to correlate between what the radar is doing and what's really happening. Here we are at, I think we're on Mount Tam. Yes, we're on Mount Tam. Raining up there. I don't know if we're going to see anything. It just started raining up there, so that's good. And then we've got San Francisco. So Mount Tam, isn't that interesting? Like Mount Tam often doubles and triples and I've seen it quadruple San Francisco's rain totals, which are about 10 miles to the south. 10-mile difference, and you're talking 300% increases in rainfall, 200%, 400%. And you can see the Golden Gate Bridge right here. And you can see Mount Tam right under that cloud. So the reason the headlands, the marine headlands, these headlands sort of face south. If you were looking this way, you're looking kind of toward the south. That makes sense because Ocean Beach looks west. So, I mean, these are, rough numbers, but the idea being that when the clouds come in from the south, which this is a south wind day, they pile up on the marine headlands, which are 1,000 feet to up to Mount Tam, which is up over 2,300 feet. They pile up, they get stuck, they accumulate, and orographically start to produce rainfall. And so you can see here, there's nothing to catch that moisture. So the moisture just slides right over the avenues until it hits a barrier. And that's the barrier. And the barrier creates orographic lift. And if you had the wind blowing west, or you had the wind blowing east, you're not going to get uplift on those hills. It's got to be a south-southwest wind. That's why Marin County unloads on the rainfall total. That's why Santa Cruz mountains do to some extent. Just depends. Wind direction's everything for orographic lift. And orographic lift is everything to the state of California because, well, to everywhere for weather. But state of California, topographically, think about the Sierra Nevada. These winds are blowing perpendicular to the Sierra Nevada. That's where they're going to see 3 feet of snow. Maybe 2 to 3, maybe, I don't know about more, but because that wind is going to hit perpendicular to that slope, not unlike how the wind is hitting the Marin headlands. Okay, so we've got wind advisories. See all the browns? You don't see flood advisories, greens and such. You see wind advisories. The flood advisories, we're not expecting that much rain. Here's the winter storm warnings, the pink. And you see it all the way down to Southern California. And it's an equal opportunity system. Seattle has winter weather advisories. Oregon has winter weather advisories. We have a winter storm warning. And Mammoth is going to get the bulk of the storm. And then you want to look across the country. These pinks represent winter storm warnings as well. So eastern Texas and then wind. So basically this half of the country to the right is not too bad off at all. We can take a look at the satellite image and you'll see that, right, you can kind of go, oh, okay. First thing you see there's the front, right? That's the warmer air here, colder air here, and everybody's moving this way. And so it's progressing. When you get an atmospheric river or something that to really worry about in California, you need, just like I just showed you want a perpendicular flow, and you want the jet stream's coming, you want the jet stream coming in like this. Used to call it a meridional flow or a zonal flow. And this is not a zonal flow at all. So there you go. That just so you know, because it's funny how it's not anybody's fault. It's just the nature of the business. But it's like everybody, I kind of do it too. Sometimes I'll say something in my thumbnail or something because I'm trying to get people to watch, and which is horrible. I try not to, but it's just it's the way the world has become in terms of I got to get attention or no one's going to watch. Not me, and I know you guys watch, which is awesome. This is the GFS. The lines, isobars, represent equal pressure. And you can kind of see why it's going to be windy. First time I showed you this a couple of days ago, they were further apart at this point, remember? This is the GFS. I'm going to show you the HRRR next, which is rapid update, more granular. This is the broad brush one. I'll put a circle around us, and then there it is. So this is this afternoon. So you kind of see it, right? And then see how it hangs up in the mountains? That's your orographic stuff. That's when the snow is really going to unload up around Lake Tahoe. This is Thursday evening. And into Friday, it's still going. But look at Mammoth, down a little further south. And then it pushes through. So there is Friday morning. And then by Friday mid-morning, it's raining again, scattered showers. And then a break on Saturday. And then looks like Sunday afternoon we get back into it. Okay? So I don't want to go too far out because the models are all like, hey, there's a storm coming in. Let's just focus on that. Or actually, that's what I'm saying. So here comes the HRRR. Put a circle around us. And here we are at this afternoon. Here we are this afternoon. Here we are this afternoon. Here is because it goes hour by hour, right? Here we are this afternoon. You kind of see it moving through. And look at that. Look at Northern California, really getting hammered. And then a lot of the energy starts to, as we go into tonight and tomorrow morning shifts into Southern California, right, to our friends down there. So this is 12Z, which is Thursday morning, and look what it's doing down here. So that's aggressive stuff. Maybe some thunderstorms as well. So that's the GFS. The timing on these looks pretty similar. This probably is more, this is simulated reflectivity. It's not, this is kind of going, this is what the radar would look like. So here we go, Northern California this afternoon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, afternoon commute gets hammered, starts to clear out at 8 and 9 o'clock tonight. And then we're into Thursday morning when Southern California gets whacked. Equal opportunity storm for sure. So what's going to happen? We're going to get some rain. We're going to get 3 to 4 inches up in Redding. This is National Weather Service product. 4 to 6 inches in Eureka. Oh, by the way, this is through March 12th. So through, what is it through? It's through March 18th. So a week. But there's, so this is going to include that Friday event as well. This is all manageable rainfall. So I don't know. I never saw where everyone was getting fired up about flooding. And I mean, there will be issues because the ground's saturated. So Marin County, they'll get 2 inches of rain easy on Mount Tam. But again, I guess high tide, low tide, high tide, Lucky Drive, south wind, maybe you'll get a little bit of urban flooding on the bike trail there. You'll get a 1.5 inches to 2 inches down around Monterey. Bakersfield, you'll come in at 1 inch to 1.5 inches, which is a lot of rain. LA, a lot of rain for you guys, 1.15 inches, so 1.5 inches. You're in San Diego, 1.5 inches. But that's over the course of a few days. So pretty manageable. I don't want you to let your guard down, but I don't want you to get your guard up either. Just go, oh, I live in California. Oh, and hey, this is winter. I know. I hate to do that. One of my struggles all those years in the newsroom was because the kids, they're younger and it's more about, look at me, sensationalism. And weather used to be more like we just do it like news. Like it got this much rain. The forecast says this. Here's what I think. See you at 11, right? That's about all we have time to say. But this is Palisades, Tahoe, snowing up on the Funatil, that's where the old gondola was. And the Funatil is just a different name for a gondola type system, but it carries more people. But it's just the nature of in the newsrooms, there's a lot of, you got to get it out there. You got to get people to watch your station. And that's hard. That's a struggle because the internet has really ramped up this, calling out to pay attention, look at us, click over here. So for whatever that's worth, I empathize because I was in it for a while and I used to fight and argue with everybody. Yeah, I did. Producers and not so much news directors. All my news directors kind of got it, but just could not fight and yell, but just go, you guys, it's March, early March. This is what happens. And if it didn't happen, you know what the lead story would be? Where's the rain? Okay, so this is the last time I'm going to say it. What's interesting here? I just showed you Palisades. Now we're at North Star, which is a couple miles to the east, barely, and the sun's kind of shining, right? Because they're a little bit on the lee side of the mountain, so looks like the weather's pretty good there. This is not going to move. I saw that come. This is Ocean Beach, but you can see what a south wind does to the beach. It kind of clutters it up. And then this is, my cameras aren't moving today. Dang. Let's try that. This is Steamer Lane, and you can see it, Victory at sea for sure. This is what a south wind does to, even though there's a little bit of swell too, but this is what a south wind does. And what's interesting about, okay, we've done the weather, right? So I can do this, but you see the birds. One of the things I've learned over the years is when it gets real windy, a lot of times, you ever notice how when you're at a playground and it's raining and really windy and you see the birds all sitting in the middle of the field, just kind of like, what are they doing out there on the flat? They're kind of blocking the wind for each other. Birds, when it's real windy, it's easier to fly, especially like night herons and seagulls and some birds. It's like a pelican. It's easier to fly than it is to hunker down and try to find somewhere where you're not getting blown around. Because think about it, you just stick your wings out and you're just you're just planing almost like a water skier instead of you're planing and cruising. And so you'll see a lot of birds, especially when the winds come up during the day, kind of flying around. Obviously, they're feeding as well. I'm not an ornithologist, but that is an anecdotal thing I have noticed over the years, and I've heard that. I've actually read that as well. This is, I'm going to play this too. This is Halama down at the tip of Point Conception. A little bit of south winds there. Looks like a little bit of wet on the camera. And then we go back to, this is still Shadow, and he is sitting on the nest very faithfully. It'll be interesting to watch. And I know I'm kind of new to this because I know everybody in Southern California, you guys have been watching these guys for a long time. And I have kind of paid attention. But I just, with the babies and the weather, I realized, oh my God, talk about a weather tool. Talk about live cameras giving you what you need to see. I mean, here we are, Big Bear, 170 feet? I think it's it's 120 feet up in the tree. And you see the tree starting to move. And then you're going to have winds tonight that are going to go up over 40, 50 miles an hour. I'm sure they're 35 miles an hour here now. And you're going to see the snow come in. They're going to get significant snow as we head into tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Keep an eye on the birds. Again, it doesn't look, Saturday, Sunday don't look like half bad days on the weekend. I should have said that right off the bat. I think your wet days starting today kind of lingers into tomorrow. Tomorrow's that weird, especially in Northern California, that weird unsettled, maybe a thunderstorm, maybe not a thunderstorm, Lake Tahoe chaining up and down, that type of thing. Okay, I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for hanging in. I got nothing else to say. Kind of rambly a little bit, but I'm enthused. Love the weather. Love this. I love this format because it just feels good. Like I was telling my wife, I go, I would, all my whole career doing weather, like at Channel 50, they let me make it up as a little TV station up in Santa Cruz. So I used to do stuff like this at Channel 50. They'd give me like 5 minutes, which is a long time in TV. And I'd go on for 5 minutes, sometimes longer. And I would talk about eagles, and I would talk about history, and I would talk about orographic lift and centrifugal force and all these things that I think when you can visually see things, like a great example is, I'm kind of going off here, but see how that tree's moving, right? 120 feet up. And we just saw that surface observation just north of there, San Bernardino Mountains, gusts to 40 miles an hour. Okay. Now you're seeing, okay, that's verifying, right? It just visually, if you can connect things, or the orographic thing we talked about, right? The perpendicular flow. So I was really into that. And then as I got going through television all those years, not anybody's fault, it's just time constraints of a newscast, and you have a bunch of reporters trying to get their piece on the air. And the weather guy thinks he needs time to talk about the damn eagle, right? And I get that. But in this format, it allows for some room to breathe and allows for a back and forth conversation. I do try to answer all the comments because I appreciate it. Some of you guys have been here a long time, and we're starting to get a little traction. I appreciate that. And if you tell a friend, that's awesomer. I don't know why I want more people. That's a great question. I think I'm competitive. I know, sorry. I know. I'm trying to be all earth bunny, but I am competitive. But I also, if there were only, I said this like the first month or two I was doing this, if there were only 50 of you and you were as ravenous as you are, or I would do it for 50 people. I would not be, my ego wouldn't be very big. I'd probably still be big, but I would do it because it's gratifying to have the things, some of the things you guys say, like, oh, I never knew that, or I didn't think that, or what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it just opens this conversation, which is such a nice way to deal in our state, in our coast, and in our weather, and just kind of demystifies everything. Because in television, if you're watching on TV, I'm a whole different dude. Here, I'm the same guy. I'm doing what I just did. I would have to do in 2.5 minutes. I think I probably just spent 16 minutes doing this, plus 5 rambling. Sorry, but I just think it's such an important step, whether it's me or somebody else, that this kind of a content get out there, so that people who, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do weather. I did learn a lot of rocket sciencey things, which I have since forgotten, but I understand the relationships, the thermodynamics, fluid dynamics. I understand these relationships, and you can too. It's super easy. Like that front I showed you with the cold air and the warm air, and the front's the area between it. The front got its name from World War II. or maybe World War One, but when they started the Western Front. So when they started doing weather charts, they start, oh, that's a front, that's a cold front. So the front comes from all the way back to the 1920s in terms of military action. Okay, a lot of ramble. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Do tell a friend, that'd be awesome.